Sun shining, I'm warm. How you feeling? Well, I'm home. Couple thousands I just flown, got me feeling some type of way. Embracing this ground, my people, my town. Celebrating with this sound, we are feeling some type of way. I'm humbled that I come from a place like this. So let me show you around, sing it again. So humbled that I come from a place like this. Let me show you around. Smiling cold, smiling cold. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy. Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy.
You missing out if you ain't from here. And don't be quick to judge from all the things you hear. Plus from a distance the picture's never clear. People give back, we care. Got so little but we share. Can't compare, you deke jama burajir. Yene deka yage here. Foreigners in your tourists yange jabante back and forth throughout the year. By near a peace of mind, sunny beaches. Love bird watching birds, we got different species. Rich in culture and the love leaves you speechless. Society groom, reality it teaches. We one like a puzzle putting together all the pieces.
I'm humbled that I come from a place like this. So let me show you around, sing it again. So humbled that I come from a place like this. Let me show you around. Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy. The Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy.
Digga na I different dikka. Funeka aglof ay feka. Fangay dem ñu all a leka. Hamuñ la sa all a ancho don punya sa def ko ñetta. Ain't no other place this brother here could live better. Even beggars got homes. Get na guess ku fanan better. Su sere be serious in winter you cool with just a sweater. Live in the Smiling Coast and never. To be honest, suma happiness like perta.
Sun shining, I'm warm. How you feeling? Well, I'm home. Couple thousands I just flown, got me feeling some type of way. Embracing this ground, my people, my town. Celebrating with this sound, we are feeling some type of way. I'm humbled that I come from a place like this. You know, you should know. So let me show you around, sing it again. So humbled that I come from a place like this. Let me show you around. Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy. Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy.
Smiling Coast, oi, oi. Oh, good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Fatma Rahman Koka, and I'm the host today at Elitemedia platform. You're watching us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Today, it's a family. No, it's not a family. No, it's a family thing. It's a family thing. I have my whole family here. My daughter, my nieces, my daughter-in-law, and the beautiful one. Okay, we're going to have youth discussion today. We're going to touch on a lot of topics. But before I go any further, I'll let my kiddos introduce themselves. And then why am I acting like a kid? Why am I acting like a youth. Why am I doing the rapping thing? Oh, because I have a musician in the house. I have Sugar in the house too. Anyways, guys.
Energy. That's why I think
who's that? Who's that? I knew it. I knew Ajay she will be the first one to say something when I say something. Yeah. She's meaning me. But balaa ñooy sori sax mbokk yi ma nga lay nuyu di leen jaajëfal fii ci Elite Media plateforme bi man la Fatoumatta Rahman Coker di waxee ci Facebook live ak YouTube. waaye bala may sori rek mooy wax ne ñu ngi jàll ñi nga xam ne ñooy aji jiitu yi surtout suma nijaay bi nga xam ne moom dafa gaañu woon fan yii nii maa ngi koy jàlle suma yaay di ko jàlle bépp suma ndukundaa di ko jàlle suma mbokk yëpp yéen a leen yàlla xaareel àjjana te yéexeenu fi mu nekk nag lii rek la ñuy xaar ñun ñëpp moom la ñuy xaar su jotee rek dañuy dem ñun ñëpp waaye xanaa di ñaanalante rek te ay newente jàmm te mu fekk ñu ci lu baax it now dañ dee ne charity begins at home. So what am I going to do? Should I let Jatou introduce herself first, or should I? No, let's go to my daughter-in-law because she's the new kid on the block. Hey, Amie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How's everyone doing today?
Welcome to the Elite Media platform.
Thank you.
All right, I'll allow you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, what you do. But sum it up, right? Round it up, right?
Sure. I'll keep it short and sweet. Again, my name is Amie Dibba, and I'm an audio-visual content creator. Do podcasts, music video, content creation, artist development, and just here to share what I have to say about the youth discussion for young people in Gambia and ourselves.
Thank you. Oh my God, that was short and beautiful. Oh Lord, wait until
she started.
I know I can control this side because I go back slap you. Boom. So introduce yourself because those two, let them be last. So Jatou, how does it feel? How does it feel being here today with Muma?
It was good. Hi guys. I'm Jatou Janneh. I'm a student. I have a non-profit organization called the Smiling Coast Organization, where I help orphanages and lower income areas in the Gambia. You can check that out. My mom's gonna put the link for the GoFundMe and everything. Yeah, free promotion. So I also have a YouTube channel called Jatou Janneh, and I have a brand that's currently rebranding called J Scandal.
Scandal. In my days, in my time, I won't even use the word scandals. But anyway, let's move on. Are you done?
Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah, you're done. Wrap it up. Okay, guys, this is the end of the show. We'll come back next year to give. All right. let me introduce my babies. Oh, baby bears. Where are my baby bears? Are they gonna ignore me?
She's hearing us, so we couldn't say anything. Can you imagine? Okay, we're on.
Where are my baby bears? Go on.
Yes, Mama. Hey.
Oh Lord. Go on. Introduce yourselves.
I'll go first because I'm quick. I don't talk too much. So my name is Agie. I'm actually named after Auntie Famata's mum, so you can. That just shows a lot. But yeah, my name's Janneh. I'm from London, live in Southampton, currently have a hair and beauty salon, African and Caribbean one. And we're here today to discuss certain issues relating to the youth in Gambia, outside of Gambia, just in general. So just here to give our input. See? 10 seconds, Auntie. 10 seconds.
Tell me how. Oh, let's hear from my boss lady.
Hi everyone, my name is Sugar. I'm a singer, songwriter, all-round musician. Come from London, but I'm here in Southampton with my sister Agie. We're here to discuss. We're here to talk. We're here to lay it out. We're here to be explicit. We're here to address everything. So, yeah.
All right. Someone just sent me a message that Sugar is my favorite artist and she cannot be here today and not give us something. So Sugar, just give us something.
Of course. Yes. Oh my God. Might as well just do something.
I'm humble. I come from a place like this. Now let me show you around. Sing it again. So humbled. I come from a place like this. Let me show you around.
Smiling.
Yeah.
That was great. That was a great entrance for my family. Everyone sitting here right now is part of me, and they have a special place in my heart. So this is going to be a friendly discussion. I was warned. I cannot act auntie. I cannot act mommy. I just have to allow them to speak their mind. So we're not going to have a strictness thing here. So, hey, Jatou, back slap. I want you all. All right, guys. Today we'll be discussing a lot of stuff, but all in all is to do with youths. I think what hit home and what hit us hard was when we heard about these drugs. Of course, it's been here for a very long time, but recently we come to understand that ecstasy is in Gambia. And ecstasy has been a drug that is known in the West for a very long time. But going to Gambia now, I think that is too much, and it's about time that we talk to the youths, because at least let's see what they feel, how they feel. And if you feel that you want to contribute to this conversation, please, I will put a number up as soon as possible so that you can call us on WhatsApp, and we will be joined by other youths that in this club that I don't really like, called Clubhouse. Oh Lord, I don't know if you guys have kids that are in this Clubhouse. It does take the time of every youth if they're in Clubhouse. I don't know about yours, but mine it does. So I'm really not having it anymore. It's too much. So we will have people calling from Clubhouse to join this conversation. And then again, like I said, if you guys want to call and join this conversation, feel free. It doesn't have to be in English. It can be in Wolof too, Mandinka, Fula, any language you want to speak. We're just speaking English. And you know me, my crooked English. Suma mbokay di fokk ne suma mbokki gamé di fokk ne yeen mënu leena laka olof way Jatou anyway ci yow la ñoo starté sax Jatou dégg nga olof na déggoo olof woy forox yi ñëw na waa baax na anyway who do we start with? I mean, since you're the baby, you're my new baby, you're the new kid on the block, I will give you the honors of starting. Point of discussion, the very first first area that we're going to touch is, of course, drugs. Recently, we heard, and it was on social media anyways, everywhere, people are talking about like how, you know, youths are taking drugs in the Gambia, and I'm sure it's been there for a very long time. It's just that when we heard about this ecstasy, it blew our mind, like I said earlier on. So we want you to talk about it a little bit, and then we'll move on to somebody else. It's just gonna go around. You tell us your take on it, and then Aja, babysitter, Jatou, and then if anybody in Clubhouse want to contribute, we'll go for it.
Sure, thank you. To me, I think it's very necessary to understand why. I think a lot of the times we get caught up in the how, or I should say we get caught up in the fact that people are using, but we don't ask why. We know in our community that it's kind of taboo to talk about mental health. It's if you talk about stress, it's always something that people don't want to discuss. And the reality is that people are using these drugs for a reason. What is that reason? And we have, and to me, the unpopular opinion is that we have a culture of lifting up the ones that sell the drugs, but we want to put down those that are using. And to me, that doesn't really make sense. I mean, it's an unpopular opinion. I think that we all know family members, loved ones that are engaged in this type of activity. But the reality is that there are people, there are family members, sometimes our own as well, that are affected by the use of these drugs circulating in the community. So I think we need to talk about why, and we need to be honest about how we uplift people who bring the drugs in, and then we put down those that are less fortunate maybe and are using.
Okay, so you think we still avoid it, or we're still shy about talking about the why and who, because they say who are taking these drugs and why are they taking these drugs? So I'm going to put you on the spot. Why do you think these kids are taking these drugs? Because you mentioned mental health, and mental health is broad. Depression is there, suicidal, a lot. It can be a lot. So why do you think kids are taking drugs, and too much of it nowadays?
Yeah, I think that there isn't one answer really, unfortunately. I think that there can be peer pressure, it can be mental health, it can be just because they see other people doing it, piggybacking off of the peer pressure. So there are so many reasons, but I think that we are just going to be navigating this space blindly until we get down to asking people why, and with an open mind and open heart. Because I think the reality is that a lot of people don't even have the space to talk about their drug abuse. And if they do, they're just shunned, or they're taken to Kampama or something like that. There's no open space where someone will receive you necessarily in every family, where someone will receive you and hear you. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to hear a voice talking to you, but to hear you and be available to help you, that to me is lacking.
True. All right, so we jump to Ajande. Aja, what's your take on these drugs that we're doing, and especially this ecstasy that's like it's all over the market now in the Gambia? Yeah.
So I think Amie brought some great points that I didn't actually think about. Definitely in terms of like the why. But my main concern that this even came about for me, the reason why I didn't think of it for where you were coming from, because I came about it because of people within my age group, like the young people in Gambia, even if you are in the age of you're able to go out and you're able to club, because from what I've learned is that it's used as like a party drug, as like a clubbing thing. So my concern is, do the youth actually realize that it could get to the point where you can't get help? It's all fun and games now, like, yeah, let's take a pill, let's have a drink and whatnot. And this is where the lack of education comes into it, because we're aware of, like, it's very disturbing to say, it's like, can we actually ever get rid of drugs, right? Because before today or now, it's been happening for years. So my main thing is, I feel like a lot of, let's say a lot of youths will take these drugs not actually understanding the implications it's doing on them, or how far that could reach out to them later on in life. And that's when it would most likely affect you. So I think that is, I remember in school, we did do like a drugs education thing. And even if it wasn't, you were aware that there's certain things that you wouldn't touch. Now, let's be real, like weed, like socially, we don't really see it as a drug, but because it can be argued it's a herbal thing, it's like a medicine and whatnot. So in terms of like weed and Gambia has this culture where we're quite influenced by the Jamaican culture. So I get that. Do you get what I mean? But now,
not that it's good.
Not that it's good.
Yeah, but we get it.
We get it. Yeah, I get it. But my point is that we're starting to use hard drugs that. I'm not saying that weed does not have the same sort of effect on you, because it does have a different sort of effect. But these drugs, if you're abusing them for a certain amount of time, it does affect you worse than weed would, mentally, physically, and even in terms of just like, I just feel like if it was taught in schools, or it was a thing where kids are aware of the drugs that they're taking and how it could damage them, it's a choice. Do you get what I mean? But the information is out there for you to receive it. So at this point, it's a risk. If you decide to take it, but I just don't believe that they actually realize it. Because just quickly, when I did have this conversation with someone, one person was in Gambia, one was a Western. I was like, oh, would you think that it's like the Westerns that like go out there like during the party season and thing it? And the person was like, no, it's the youths in Gambia. So that's where it then became a thing where us going out there, for example, Westerns going out there using drugs, we come home to have a wiser idea of the effects that it can have on us. And not only that as well, if it did get to a point where you are addicted and you are from the Western world, you are able to get rehab. You're easily accessible to get rehab. Where in the Gambia, if you get to a point where you're if you get to a point where you're using drugs every day and it's basically overdosing or you're getting addicted, there is no way out unless it's like your traditional forms, which is that how effective is that?
True. Sugar?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with both points. You guys have taken like most of it and stuff. But like, yeah, back to the why, if I relate it back to someone like myself that's a musician or the musical culture and stuff, I'd probably say the why is because of trends. It's because of the current genres that are very popular at the moment. So you have like the hip hops and the drill and, you know, that is worldwide and international. And in their lyrics and in the videos, you see drug behavior, you hear what it does to them, you know. Just to quote off of, you know, you have a song with Davido and Summer Walker, and he's talking about a certain drug explicitly in the song. He's like, fast we go, and it's enjoyable, and you're listening to it, and you're like, okay, well, if Davido is my favorite artist, and he's saying codeine makes me feel this way, I'm gonna go try it. Do you know what I'm saying? So small little old Gambia, and this is why it's so sad, because when we heard this, we was like, okay, awareness definitely needs to come, because first of all, we're way too small for this. Yeah. Same way COVID, when it hit Gambia, we was like, okay, how are we actually going to cope? It's really, really with the drugs as well. Again, going back to what Agie said about the weed, like, not that it's great, but it's been there for a lot of time. Where we're not educated in the other drugs and how to control it or how to even advise, that's where it becomes dangerous. And that's where I just feel like I'd probably blame things like the government for allowing something like this to happen. I feel like it's one thing allowing it to happen and another thing acknowledging that this is happening in the country. How about we place certain things in order for it to bring down the drug culture, you know? Okay, we're going to start putting it in schools and we're going to start educating. This is what ecstasy does, because what we're hearing is that people aren't even using the ecstasy properly. You know, they're actually not using it properly. We was in a room, remember Jatou, we was in a room in Clubhouse, and he's like, the way that they're using the ecstasy is not even how you're supposed to be doing it. Not that I know, but I'm just saying, like, you know, so you're abusing it, but you're abusing it in the wrong way as well. So I feel like it's the responsibility of the government to acknowledge that there's a huge problem. We need to put it in school so that and don't turn a blind eye and think that young kids are not doing it. They really are. Kids in school. So, you know, put it in the education system. Make sure parents are actually taking note as well and are able to advise. But I guess that's a bigger thing that we need to delve into, because that plays a massive part, parenting.
Brilliant.
And I can say something again on what Amie, just to pick up on
Mild. Yeah,
right. You know when Amie said like the uncomfortable truth, right? So one of my friends called me from the Gambia, like we were just gisting, you know, she's like, oh my God, they seized like this amount of millions of dollars of cocaine from the borders and whatnot. So then I was like, well, that's good, because that means it's not going to get out onto the streets. Then it comes a point where she was like, okay, but you do realize that we do have corruption as well. So it may not go out on the street from the drug dealer, but however, the police, the government. So just to touch on like the responsibility and the uncomfortable truth that this is actually happening. Like I felt naive for a hot second there, like, oh great, so. But no, it will get out on the streets one way or the other. And it's worse that it comes from like officials.
Wow, I must add something there. You see, for those of you who are watching, we are thinking that the youths aren't aware. Listening to this conversation, you can see how the youths have touched corruption, government, parenting. So you see the kids, they're aware, they're watching, they know what's going on. The point you just raised, Agie, is very important. All right, the drugs been seized, but who is trafficking the drugs out there? It's a big question mark. It's something that needs to be sorted out and needs to be talked about. Yes, Jatou, what is your take on what these guys have said, and what's your take on this as a student, and like when you were in Gambia and now that you're here? So tell us what you feel.
Yeah, when I was in Gambia, Yeah, weed was there. There was weed. First of all, I went to school. I did my secondary school in Gambia, and there was not one class about weed or alcohol. But we knew weed was happening because there were people that would take weed at school. They would get caught, get expelled immediately. Not a question of like, why are you taking it? Where did you get it from? How? It's just, yeah, straight, you're expelled. And I think why is the peer pressure. Peer pressure, I think, the culture, the musical culture, like it's a big thing where people in Gambia, especially the ones, I feel like the reason why it's the ones in Gambia that take it the most is because they haven't seen out, so they try to grasp every little thing that they can get from the Western world, and drugs is one of the main things that comes through when it comes to movies, music. The Western culture, they see drugs and alcohol as like something cool. So obviously that is natural for them to just grasp it, to get a little feel of how it is to be out. I feel like, yeah, that's
so it's basically it's just experiment. Some of them, they started off as experiment and it went out of hand.
Yeah, because like even people, if you talk to people that have smoked weed or like take drugs, the first thing they say is the first time I took it, I was just trying it. But I feel like that comes with every form of addiction. It was just, you were just trying it, and then boom, something happened and you kept taking it. It's like, oh yeah, I can stop when most people don't even want to admit that they're addicted. It's just like, oh yeah, I can stop whenever I want to. But like, when do you want to? When you die? Or what's the next step for you to want to stop? I feel like the government, they're not doing anything. If I know about these stuff, then the government definitely know what's going on. They seized how much at the border, so they know what's going on. They either don't want to do anything about it, are part of the whole thing, or they're just like, oh, kids will be kids. It's one of the three, but yeah.
But it's not just government that have responsibility in this. We have parents as well, the kid, him or herself. And you know, it's funny how friends in school, they are aware. Like, let's say we're going to the same school, me and you, and we're friends, and I'm aware that you're taking drugs, or you're aware that I'm taking drugs, but you would never tell on me. So you see, not thinking that if you tell on me, that will ruin our friendship. But actually, if you did tell on me, that would have helped me.
No. Okay, it's easy to say that when you're older, but
hey, don't call me older.
I didn't say old. When you're older, you think that, yeah, just tell on. But when you were 16, 17,
you wouldn't think.
People in the UK, they see people murdering someone and they won't tell. Do you think I'm gonna now go and tell your mom that you take drugs to help you when I didn't even tell when I saw you murder someone else's child? So there's a snitch culture. Like, even me myself, I'm not gonna lie, if I saw one of my friends taking it, I would personally go to you and be like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? But I would never take it to the level of telling your parents. That's just something we don't do as like the youth. Like, that's just not natural. It's not. I would be lying if I said that. Yeah, they would go to their parents and tell them.
But today we are educating people today, so we want to turn the table round. 1 second, Agie. We want to turn the table round. So now, from now on, it's a way forward. We're looking for a solution. So now, you saying that, I'm sure a lot of kids are saying the same stuff, but now we're urging kids that this can ruin somebody's life. If you know someone who is taking drugs, you need to tell the parents, you need to tell their family members, you know, you just need to tell. It's not snitching. You're helping them. These kids in Gambia, they don't know how to handle these drugs. They don't know what ecstasy is. They don't even know it can kill. I know about, few guys have called me that it can even cause impotence. You know, it can cause a lot in your life. So,
okay, now if my friend tells you that I took drugs, what are you gonna do?
Kill you.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point. That's my point. Exactly.
Do you know what, Auntie?
That allow you to keep taking drugs to die.
No, Auntie. Can I say something? Can I intervene there? Yeah.
No, I was gonna say something. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, she was, but she handed it to me.
No, I didn't.
So
sorry, guys. That's my family.
Really important what we just saw happen there. Yeah. Although it was playful, this is reality. Now, I feel like the education needs to extend on to the parents too, because really and truly, you will go to your Gambian African parent who is they have the culture inside their skin.
Who's sitting right next
Thank you very much. Like, not that it's bad or anything, but you will go and they don't understand it. Same way where it's like you go to school and you report it, what they will do is suspend you, but they won't tell you why. They won't tell you what it's for. They won't tell you it's because this and this and that. They just heard drugs and then that's it. So I feel like we can definitely work towards, and especially now we're in the generation where a lot more conversations are happening, but we need to always remember that this is Africa, this is in Gambia, like this is majority still have that same mindset where it is right and wrong, no in between, no discussion. So it's like, how do we open doors for a child to become comfortable with their parent and actually have that conversation? You know what, ma, I actually tried heroin, you know.
Okay, let's start with drinking before you even talk about heroin.
Before you think, can I just say what I wanted to say, right?
Yeah.
You know, when she just said like about the whole friendship thing, Jatou, just picking up on your point, I think there's a timeline. You won't, because your friend tried a drug, you're not going to say to them, you're not going to tell their parents. I think it gets to a certain point where you feel like that this is getting out of control, then you would ask for help. So I do think we do have a no snitch culture, but I think that mental health nowadays is a big thing. So we are a lot more aware of actually knowing the signs and knowing when to say like, right, you actually need to stop, or if your friend is not seeing it. So I do think before we would go to probably your parents, we'll probably try to help you as a friend. Then that would be the completely last resort. We're
going to come to Amie, but before that, I just saw a comment and I want to read. It's very interesting. It's from a very good friend of mine, Awayaifai. She said, with kids nowadays, when you tell on them, they call you snitching, and it can get them in more trouble. If you snitch on someone, it can get you or the kid in more trouble. That's what she's trying to say here. I just advise my daughter, she advised her daughter to mind her business and stay away from friends who smoke weed or, vape. All right. Very good point there, Awa. Very good point. But I want to go back a little bit. You guys talked about parents. We like, you cannot open up to parents and tell them this. I totally agree with you. Just like Jatou, if she was to come and tell me that, I would flip. Instead of me finding solutions, trying to help her, I'll expose her more.
That's
what we do as Gambian parents. I'm going to call, hey, wait. That's the first thing I would do. I will call somebody else. Hey, wait, I'll call another one.
And all of that is not even healthy for the child.
Exactly. Before you know it, I've exposed my daughter to everyone when I could have taken that time that I used crying or gossiping about it to help my daughter out. So you see, this is a learning curve for everyone, including myself. From today, I'll start doing things differently. I think now we talk more than we did before. Because before I would just cut your throat. So that does make sense. Amie, do you want to contribute to what we have been talking about?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to say something about that last comment. And I empathize and I understand why a parent would say to their child, I want you to just avoid being around these certain type of people. But I don't know, for myself, I think the reality is that it's really hard to just avoid someone who uses, I mean, generationally speaking, our generation doesn't really see weed to be a hard drug, for example, right? We just, it's almost part of the culture if we're talking about Gambia especially. And I don't equate a bad person to a drug user, if that makes sense. You using drugs doesn't make you a bad person where we don't talk or we don't deal with each other. And so I might be more likely to still have that friend. I think it's a hard conversation to have. It's hard to tell your child, or I wouldn't say you would encourage your child to have drug dealer friends or drug user friends, but the reality of the world is that people are vaping, people are using weed, people are doing drugs. And I don't know how prepared anyone is to say, but I'm pretty sure that we all know people that use one or all of those things. Are we prepared to walk away from them? Or will the child just say, okay, mom, and still do it? And then you have a child that's hiding from you, which is a whole nother issue. They may get into trouble just because they're trying to hide from you, and then they become secretive, and then that brings an issue in the relationship between the parents as well, and parent and the child. So I think at the core of it, it really needs to be more about communication. And like I said, I completely understand. It's not that I don't understand why someone would say to their child, look, I don't like this, stay away from it. But as a child growing up in the city, and I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I grew up in the inner city. And the reality is, if my parents had told that to me, I don't know that I could actually do that physically. You know what I mean? I don't know that I could actually physically avoid anyone that used drugs, because the reality was I was in the city and a lot of my friends were in the city. Not everyone used drugs. Maybe it wasn't a habit, but it was there. And some of them were really good people. So I think it's a balancing act. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's really about communication and also trusting your child.
Trust is very important.
Yeah, it's really important, because if you raise your child and you have trust in your child, they feel more empowered to come to you about things, because they know that, you know, just because I'm telling you my friend uses drugs, I'm not using drugs, I'm just letting you know. And then they have a safe space. I think safe spaces are really important to have. But if they feel like you don't trust them, they're not going to come to you with stuff. So that, and not to scare this parent, but that conversation can shut down a child from coming to you again about another friend or about another situation.
Wow. That is interesting. I hope parents are listening right now, because I'm not listening. My ears are deaf. So if you guys are listening, please listen for me and then tell me later what these kiddos are saying. Anyways, very interesting.
You're right. You're 80% there.
No, yeah, I'm not even 80%. Nah, yeah, let's be honest. You know, I am growing out of being strict, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think, to be honest with you, recently I find myself teaching myself how to control my emotions, temper, and try to open up to my kids and talk to them. I find myself talking to my two younger kids more. Like I don't know why I can talk to them about so many stuff that I cannot even talk to Jatou about. Honestly, it would be very easy for me to even talk to Chamsu about drugs and sex than even talking to Jatou. I don't know why. Is it because I was so overprotective of Jatou? She was the first one, so I was so overprotective to the extent that she grew up like that. We grew up like that together. That protectiveness, you understand? But with Chamsu, he came at the time where, all right, I am very protective of him, but even if I don't want to talk about it, he comes and he see things on TikTok and come to me. Oh, mommy, I saw someone was shot. Then that gives me the time to talk to him about guns, about drugs and other stuff. Venice the same, but with Jatou, well.
If I was Chance's age, I wouldn't even come to you if I saw that on TikTok, to be very honest.
I was strict then, didn't it?
Yeah, you were.
Not
you strict. I feel like everyone, I was just like the baby of the family. So like
everyone was protective.
I was so sheltered. So it was just like, I don't even think I would have seen it, because I wouldn't have had a phone at that time. Like I was very sheltered. I feel like maybe Chance and Ben was like, you're just growing out of being like that strict and stuff.
Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to tell people is, I think it's time that we open up with our kids and talk to them, because growing up for me, it wasn't like that. But my dad was strict, but not that way strict. Like, he was strict in terms of religion. Yes, everybody knows that. But he does talk to us, because if you have this Aku blood in you as well, it does help a little bit, because they know how to talk. They will talk to you about stuff. Even if they're strict, they'll still talk to you about stuff. I think that helped me a little bit. And my stepmom was very, like, she's Gambian, but very Western, very open-minded. She talked to us about so many stuff. And I really appreciate that. So maybe that's why I am the way I am. I keep telling people, I'm not the typical Gambian girl. People don't understand me when I say that. I remember when Agie was 16, I think it was the first time I took her to a nightclub. And I cannot remember clearly, but I think we kind of
I
put some
remember that.
yeah, we put some afro on Agie.
I remember.
Yeah,
You
my
put
friend brother. We put,
I remember.
yeah, big afro on Agie, and we trained her to walk with heels, long heels, because we're taking her to the club. So we want you to see. And guess what we did to Agie? We took Agie to one of the rough clubs in Coventry so that she gets to see the throwing of bottles, taking off shots, having sex in the club, and all of this nonsense. And then when I took her there, she told me point blank, "Oh, Auntie, I'm not really feeling this place. So this is what club is about." And you explain the story. And she really put her off it. I think that was the best way to kind of show her what club life was about. Anyway, go on, Agie. At that time,
I think it's a thing
that was different. Yeah.
Yeah, Sugar's upbringing was a lot different because well, I think with me, it was more of the openness coming. So with me growing up, my dad, he is that guy that you are not going to mess with, okay? This man. But anyways, he's the more of the strict one. My mum was more laid back. But when me and Auntie Famta had a really, really strong relationship, and why I kind of drawed into her a lot, because I felt like I can be open with her and speak to her certain things that I couldn't speak about my mum. So in saying that, my mum, she's like your typical Gambian mother. So this is me 16 years old, or, going into teenage, 15, 16, a little bit rebellious, trying to find my way, who I am, what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? So I found that safe space with Auntie Famta to be able to speak about certain things, ask about certain things that I wouldn't naturally go and speak to my mum about. But however, this is where I think that with the comment you mentioned with Chamsu, you can speak to Chamsu and Venus about anything, but with Jatou it may be a little bit difficult. I think it's with the age, because with me now, my mum and my dad, like, we are so tight. Like, I feel like, if in all honesty, if I was taking drugs right now and I needed help, I feel comfortable enough to go to them and tell them what it 100%. Is. Feeling safe and knowing that I will get the help that I need without being judged. Don't get me wrong. This is not to say that they won't be angry or mad or whatever, but it would be very different if I was a lot younger. So in terms of just growing up, I feel like having Auntie Famta there really did help me to grow into who I am now, because I was able to be honest. So I never hid anything. I never lied. If I was doing something, she would be the one to know about it. That message will then get sent across to my parents if it does or whatnot. But one thing that I definitely chose from that openness, even though it wasn't my parent per se, but she was pretty much just as good as, I was able to open up and not be judged. And because you got to understand, if you're 15, 16, you don't know any better. You don't know about certain things. You don't know, like, for example, the clubbing thing. Like, if I was to go out, like a lot of people do, and, tried it out myself with my girls, which I did later on after my first encounter, I just feel like I could have made other mistakes. Do you get what I mean?
Hold on. Are you confessing that you tried it? Are you telling me you tried it?
She's talking about club. She's talking about club.
The
clubbing. No, the clubbing. I'm saying, like, after you took me out.
I'm becoming a Gambian mother already.
Auntie, can you stop? Okay, you see, this is what we're talking about. You're showing off like Gambian parents. This is not what all Gambian. I'm joking. No, she's really fine. But I think that I'm just saying, like, in terms of like openness, I think it's so important for parents to be open, because even I feel like I took a lot of those traits from you to kind of, if you like, raise Sugar. Do you get what I mean? Because from when I was of age, it was me and her. Like, from when I 18 when I went to uni. So from there, I was able to show her the road from what you showed me. But I do feel like if I didn't have that guidance, it may have been a little bit different, but I wouldn't know for now.
Yeah. No, I think I need to come in there, Sugar, before you come in. I think with Sugar, it was a huge difference. We wouldn't even allow Sugar. We wouldn't even allow Sugar to come across the way you came across, Agie. Because with you, we built a safe net, a safe zone with you, thinking that Agie had a little bit of upbringing from Gambia. So she will understand when we tell her stop, she will stop. She knows the beating and all that. But Sugar, we've always seen her as ki tubabla, ki white one la. So we were like, with Sugar was completely different. We were not like, we give her tough love. It wasn't like exactly like the way you had it. We give her tough love. Once she was spoiled by the dad, she was untouchable. And so like, it's like everybody abandoned her. Nobody wanted to tell her what was wrong or right. So you see? Yeah. So with her, it was a whole different thing. So,
well, luckily I wasn't a bad kid.
Sugar, how did tell us a little bit about your growing up as well. How, you know.
Hold on. I think we're breaking up a little bit.
No, you're back. You're back on. You're back.
Okay.
Yeah. Go on, Sugar. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, no, I think you're completely right. I like me growing up was watching Janneh grow up. So obviously I was I'm not massively younger than Agie. Our age difference is actually quite close, but she was the guinea pig and then came me. Do you know what I mean? She really was the quote unquote like experiment, you know. And Agie, like, not as you can tell, but she's very, you know, Agie was like quite a hard kid. She's tough, she's thick-skinned. Not in a bad way, but like, do you get what I mean? Like tough skin. So it was a lot harder to discipline her, I guess. But like she wasn't bottom of the barrel, all of that sort of stuff. So, but anyways, long story short, Janneh's now learned all of this stuff from Auntie Falmata and later on my mum. And then I come in the picture. I'm starting to grow up now. And it was literally just a pattern. The same way you took Janneh to the club is the same way Janneh took my hand and took me to the club. Funny enough, my first club hair was a afro wig as well. We were the same size at that stage too. So I was wearing everything. But what it was, it's like literally passing down the information. And I stress how important, again, coming from Amie as well, communication and openness is. Because the way that Janneh was able to be open with Auntie Falmata and my mum is the same way I then was able to see that, witness it, and be open with her and my mum as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So we, and even if we take it slightly back to the whole drug situation, it's like, okay, cool, we're going to this club. Make sure you hold your drink. Make sure you don't leave your drink anywhere. Cover your drink when you go into wherever it is. Just make sure your drink is with you. So I'm there in the club, like drinking out the straw on the corner, you know, because I was scared. Like I was scared. And even if I did want to try, I know that this is going to make me lose myself. I won't be in control. And one thing I hate is not being in control. And we know that these drugs take you out of your body and yourself and stuff like that. So imagine, you know, you're young, you're partying, and lo and behold, majority of the time, it's not your age mate that is in the club. You've got uncles in the club as well. You got people older that are wiser, that, you know, are able to take advantage of situations like that and groom you in a way that you don't even know. So spite in your drink. So from early, when I know things like that, and I'm open to discuss these things with people who are older than me, then it just creates a safe space in general, you know? And I just feel like it's just very, very important. And being a young sibling, it's even more important because why? It gets passed down. So if we flip the tables now, and Janneh had learned something crazy from Auntie Falmata, she's going to practice the same thing. I'm going to practice the same thing. It's important, you know?
Can I hop in on that real quick after that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Although we may be quick to say, you know, hella be the fabon because they've taken drugs once and everything, and you've told the whole world. Would you rather continue that narrative or actually sit down and have a conversation with your child and be like, okay, I know that you went clubbing. I know that you did this. I'm bloody mad at you. You know you're not going out for the rest of the month, but sit down, let's talk about it. This is why I'm angry. This is why, because it does this and it does this, and you know, so on and so forth. So I just feel like, again, just stressing on those points, it's the importance of communication, and actually knowing that the communication that you're planting into your child's head from early is for the long run, you know. So yeah, that's what I'd say with that.
Now we're gonna have Amie come in. Amie, I don't know what you're about to say, but can you tell us a little bit of your first time in club as well? Tell us your experience as well, because it's very important. Later on, people will understand why this is important, because I think Pepita has just touched on it. That communication. If Bad was communicated to Agie, Agie would have transferred that to her. So that is very important. Communication is important between parents or siblings. So that is very important. All right, Amie, yes, Amie.
Sure. So what I was going to say quickly is just to piggyback off of what Sugar said, which is that those things get transferred. So at the same time that we are expressing this, I think that we also as the youth have to have space to understand that our parents are sometimes sharing with us what was passed on to them. So having that space of understanding that they too are just functioning with what they know. So just having that empathy for their experiences and what they know, and that they won't just come out of the blue and give you a different experience like, ta-da, it's not going to work like that. They have to also, you have to have that space to have open communication and be able to receive what they have to say as well, and try to meet a balance. But in terms of my growing up, like I said, I grew up in Minneapolis. I grew up in the city. I was lucky because my parents were open-minded in the way that I was able to talk. You know, I had a voice. That doesn't mean that I could do whatever I wanted, but I had a voice where I could speak to my truth. I could speak to what was going on in life, in the neighborhood, with my friends. But that doesn't mean I was saying everything either. But I feel like they trusted me with what they taught me, so that I knew how to navigate some spaces that may not have been ideal, but I knew how to operate or navigate in that space where I wouldn't be doing those things, or I would be of help to a friend or pass them on to a resource. And then the other thing was that they allowed me to be. So when I say that, I mean, I had friends that were my age that I could go out with because, again, they trusted me. So they trusted me, and I could go move with these people, and I could go places with these people. So my experiences were with people that they saw, they met, they trusted, and they were welcoming to my friends. So all of that just contributed to my childhood and how I experienced things, how I navigated that space, how I communicated with them. It all is just like a trickle-down effect. And sometimes shutting one door of communication can close a lot of other doors as well. So for me, I don't really have much to complain about. One thing I'll say though, if my dad is watching, there was a time in life where he wanted me, his little girl, he wanted me to always have to go to him to ask to go out, for example. And you know what I'm saying? And my mom knew all of my friends. She knew more of my friends than he did. So it was an easy conversation to say, hey, Mom, I'm going out with such and such, or can I do this? And she'd be like, yeah, fine, no problem. And my dad be like, who? No. You know, so it depends. It's a balance, you know. And like I said, they're operating with what they learn. And that's why it's so interesting, Auntie Fatu, that you said that you know that you're working on things and that you operate differently with some children than others. And that's, we even hear that with our grandparents. You hear our parents say, ha, when I was young, my parent was like this, but when he was dealing with the younger kids, he was like this, or she was like this. It's all learned. We're all learning as we go. And all of us wouldn't necessarily operate in the same space that we would operate even 5 years ago. Some of us will not have the same friends that we had even 5 years ago. And if we give each other the space to grow, then I think a lot of things will be so much easier. But we want to look at our parents in the lens that we looked at them when we were 10 now is not going to work, and vice versa. If you've taught your child, if you've instilled values in your child, please allow your child to make mistakes and give them the space to show you that you did what you could do. And they need to have their own agency, and they are a human being as well, and they will make mistakes, just like you as a parent has made mistakes and learned from. We have to make mistakes to learn from. We are not going to learn how to navigate this world by being told what to do, what not to do every step of the way. We have to fall and get up and figure it out on our own sometimes. And sometimes that may be hard for a parent to watch. It may seem like I can't just let go. We get it, but it's hard if we don't have the space to be whatever that is.
Yeah. That's wow. I think we have raised some great points here. I'm getting messages on Messenger, but this one particular message I have to talk about. This guy sent me a message and said, Fatmata, I have been parenting my boy differently. He mentioned that when the first experience that the boy had with weed was with him. So I sent him a message back and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. He said, it's the best thing to do because I know we have friends who are doing it. So I feel that, come on, do it with me. Let me video you and let you see how silly you can be or how you can handle it. And so happened, the boy vomited, everything bad happened. So he showed him the videotape and said, do you want to be like that? Is that what you want to be like when you grow up? This is how you want to see yourself. This is you when you take this in the next 5-10 years. So let's discuss that. Do you think it was right for him to do that? So I'm talking to you, those who are watching right now. Can you send me a message and be honest with this? Be honest. He was honest with us. I'm not going to give his name out unless he send me a message and tell them what my name is. But let's be honest. Those reading or those that are watching right now, send in comments. Do you think what he did was the right thing to do? For you guys, do you think what he did there was the right thing to do, Jatou? Honest opinion.
I don't know if I know if it was the right thing, but it depends on what his outcome was meant. Like, what was the purpose of it? Was his purpose to stop the child from doing it? Or was it to just see so the child would see? Because I have a friend whose mom did the same thing. Okay. But that friend still smokes weed. So what was your purpose? Like, what was your reason behind doing that? If your objective was to stop your child from smoking weed, then no, because that's not going to stop your child from smoking weed. They'll probably do it again. I think, like, if let's say they vomited, if he goes and says to his friends, or like, obviously if your mom or dad told you to do that, you're gonna tell everyone. So you go, you tell your friends, oh, this happened and I vomited. Your friend will be like, hey, maybe that was just the weed, or maybe that was just a bad day, or maybe this, maybe that. They will get you to try it in front of them, and then what if it? Then you don't vomit at that point. You don't this, you don't that. But then you're gonna actually continue doing it. Why? Because the first time I did it, I was with my dad, so it's not really that big of a deal if you think of it. So if the objective was to stop them from doing it, I don't think that made sense. But I don't know if it's right or wrong. I personally wouldn't do that, but I don't think it's wrong as well because it makes sense. Like, look at yourself on camera, you look stupid. But yeah.
Okay. Agie and Svga. Agie first.
See, personally, if I was a parent, I am 100% down with what he did. Now, this goes back to the whole point. One thing that you said to me growing up is, if you got a boyfriend, when you're ready to have a boyfriend, I would rather you bring him to the house, let me see him, let me know who it is you're dealing with, and whatever, like, it's in the house. I'm aware of what my child is doing or whatnot, right? So for me personally, exactly what Jatou said is like, what was the purpose? So if I was to do that, because the reality is, I could have a child and that child could actually smoke weed. So we need to actually be open. I think a lot of parents are quite ignorant to the fact that, like, your kids are smoking weed or they possibly will try to smoke weed. I'm talking about weed only because it's not as heavy as the hard drugs. If I I think what he did was not a bad thing. Only thing I would say about it, the whole recording thing to show him, I don't think that really, like Jack said, it would make a difference because if you're going to go out there to do it, you're going to do it. But my main thing is that I would rather know what my child is doing and them doing it than them doing it behind my back. That would be my purpose. Like, if I know that you're smoking weed or this is something you're interested in, you're open enough to come and tell me, it's difficult because I'm not a parent yet, but from how I would want to be treated if this was me in that position, I would want to feel safe to be able to go to my mum, or if my mum was open to be like, oh yeah, come, let's do this and see what it's really like and see if it's something that you are actually going to want to do. But even saying it like that, it kind of defeats the purpose, you know. But for me, my main reason for it would personally just to be the openness and to know what my child is doing, because regardless, with or without me, they will still be doing it.
So that's true. Jatou said the same. With or without you, they will still do it. Svga, your take on that?
No, for me, I think it's not so much. Well, I would, because I would want to, for the same reasons as Agie as well. Like, there's just, I've been through it where it's like, you know, the openness just makes so much of a difference. Like, it just, that's just bottom line for me. So I would. But secondly, because of what I do as a career, there's no way I'm going to bring a child onto this earth into a musical household, knowing what I'm doing, and then not be exposed to such things. So if anything, it's more important that I would probably have to do something like that if I did, like, you know, I'd be like, okay, you know what? And there's a culture behind music and stuff. You're going to be probably coming on tour with me. You're going to be seeing certain things. You know, you may be interested in the music or entertainment industry the way that I am. Here is what you may be exposed to. All right, cool. If it would only ever be weed, because I'm not going to now sit down and say, oh, let's try heroin together. You know, yeah, it's just not going to happen. But when we're talking in the context of weed, it's like, okay, cool. This is what it makes you feel like. This is what it does. This is where you may expose to. Say as if I'm on stage and you're backstage now and someone offers you, you know what it is, you know what it does to you, you know what it feels like, you know. So yeah, I'd agree. I feel like, you know, I feel like, and someone kind of said something as well. It's like, you know your child as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you will know your child. So,
and you know what? Yeah, you know, with this whole thing, yeah, it's almost similar as like teaching your child about about sexual assault, because it's like, if your child was to be sexually assaulted by a family member or whatnot, you would want them to be open, because we see a lot of kids literally keep that to themselves for years. So that is another thing.
Don't be sorry about it, because I told you earlier that we're gonna talk about that. This is open. Jatou is 19 now. I think she's good to go. We need to talk about these things, whether she wants to contribute or not. But still, open discussion. There is no limitation to what we're gonna talk about here. And I'm glad that I'm talking to my family, so people will know that, okay, with the stuff that I talk about on Facebook, I'm not just sitting there talking about it just for front. This is how I operate at home. So anyways, Amie, what's your take on that? What the guy did with the son?
So the first thing that I want to say, because the first question you asked was it right? And piggybacking off of what Svga said, you know your child. And so I think that's something that we have to also practice in our culture, is we have this idea of how I raised my child is how you should raise your child, or this is what I did, or imposing advice sometimes when it's not asked for. You know what I'm saying? Giving a list of to do or a checklist of how you should raise your child is not needed unless asked for. So I would say, in terms of, did he do it right? I don't know. But if I had a situation where my child was looking to get into that, would I be inclined to possibly try? I mean, I've never smoked it, but hey, if my child is about to do it and we need to have an experiment to figure out like what's going on, like let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Now, yeah. But I don't know, and I don't want to judge. I don't know what the purpose of the video was for. If it was to prove a point, it means that, in my head, it means that you had come to a conclusion already. And so the child already knows, like, you're about to record me to make me see that I look a fool, to discourage me. And if that's the way you're going to discourage the child, I don't know that that's most effective. If it's about showing them, and they say, yeah, because it's another thing too, that privacy in our culture is a whole other thing, but whatever. Neither here nor there. But yeah.
Oh boy. You guys are winding me up. We're gonna come to that. You guys are winding me up. Privacy. What privacy? Privacy in my house.
You know? But yeah, but I mean, if it was about a learning moment, a teaching moment, and you guys had a conversation, and he's like, you know what? Can you record me? Because you're saying all this, but I want to see myself. That's different. But if you're like, let me set up this hidden camera and like get this boy, you know, come on, smoke, you know, and then he's rolling around and acting a fool, then maybe that's not the way. So I think it really depends, you know, knowing your child, and if that's the most effective way. If you're looking to discourage your child from using something because you know your child and you're concerned about the things, again, communication. I don't think you can skip over that bit. If we try to fix issues without talking about them, we're not going to know what's most effective, because sometimes you're missing how to effectively speak to your child because you haven't talked to your child, or you're just talking at your child. You're not speaking with them. You're not talking with them. You're speaking at them. And it's not the same. Speaking at someone and listening to them and having dialogue is not the same. So one thing I always say is, when you're talking to someone, whether it's politics, religion, life, whatever the topic is, if you always want to come from how you want to talk to somebody and not try to talk to someone how they can hear you, you're not going to get anywhere. So if you want to decide, like, I'm going to say how I want to say it and it's my way and you can hear, this is how it is. Okay. But they're probably not going to hear you. But if you understand how that person communicates and you understand where that person is coming from, or have a conversation, then you're more likely to have a breakthrough where you guys can have an understanding. So talking at someone, whether it's your child, your friend, your coworker, whoever, ain't gonna work. The end.
Can I just quickly say
One second. I think it's my maybe Serrah. Fi ton more fi am ton by ton la.
Sorry.
Contact last la. Wow. Anyway, now what? Luckily, he sent a message. He's learning. He said he's learning from this, but he was very lucky. This happened 10 years ago. Now it's making sense. If it was to happen now, trust me, the boy would have sit as still as God knows, because maybe he's tried it before already. You're just trying it with him again. That's how he's gonna look at it. But if it's 10 years ago, and he said he was lucky that this was 10 years ago, and his son is very balanced. He went to the army. He's okay. So thank God that he was lucky. But now listening to us, he said it could have gone wrong. He totally agreed with everything you guys have said. So now, for me, I don't really think I would have done that. I wouldn't be able to do that. To see that, no, I don't think I can. But hey, who knows? Jatou, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wouldn't do it because scientifically, I'm just thinking now scientifically, because before I was thinking maybe like logic, like maybe just my own. But then I thought about it, I'm like, studies show that one time of smoking weed can affect a teenager's mind forever. Literally, you can search it up. So now I'm just gonna go off facts, not opinion. So scientifically, I wouldn't do that, because now what if my child ends up, you know your child, but you only know your child of their personality. You're not a neurologist, you don't know their mind. So you don't know what one thing can do to affect the child forever. So scientifically only, if I was to do this and then my child now becomes addicted, I will actually live my life thinking it was me. Maybe this is just subjective to me of how I think. I would just be overthinking the whole time. If anything was to happen due to weed or even drugs or anything like that, I would instantly think that.
But remember, he said he knew his son was rolling with people who sell drugs and who were taking drugs.
Yeah, so, but then why would you? But now you have now taken the extra step to give it to them first. So it's like a thing where it's like safe before sorry. But then why would you even do that? Because now, what if you had just implemented into your child? Don't take this. Peer pressure has never got to me personally. So I feel like you can teach someone not to let peer pressure get to their head. So I feel like there were other ways to do it instead of giving him the actual drug to take. Because I'm just going off facts. It could have affected him for a whole lifetime, and it'll be on your head. Maybe some people can get over that and be like, oh, well, I was doing what was best as a parent. But me personally, I wouldn't be able to get over it, because if anything was to happen, I would just have that on my head.
True. Makes sense. It's a good debate. Someone even sent me a message right now saying that it's a bad idea because she tried it. And okay, hold on. We have a caller. Let's deal with this caller. Hello. Yes, we can hear you. Can you guys hear from Clubhouse and you guys and those listening? Can you hear to the lady speaking? Go on, lady.
Okay.
It's okay.
Just to say thank you for bringing up this topic, and thank you to the young girls. You're very inspiring. I've got 3 kids myself. And well, I'm talking on Facebook, so people who probably know me know who is talking. I've got 2 boys and a girl, and to be honest, I wouldn't say a mistake, but my boy is 16 now, and how I was bringing him up, God knows I wouldn't do it with my second or third, and I didn't see it at the beginning because I was implementing exactly how I was brought up in Gambia. So I wouldn't talk. Not that I wouldn't talk to him, but I wouldn't have that one-to-one conversation. Because in my head, I was thinking, he's a child. He needs to be a child. Some things I wouldn't talk to him about. And, you know, there was a point we were on headlocks because he would just say to me, he would talk back to me, basically. And I'm like, I'm your mom. You shouldn't talk about, all you have to do is listen. You know, and it wasn't very nice. I'm going to be honest, it wasn't nice. And I've learned a lot from that I didn't do it with my second child. And there was a point he was thinking, hang on, Mom, do you not all the same? Because I was a bit hard on him because he was the first one. And I was brought up like, you know, Tao, you know, so it was a bit hard. I really didn't like what I did. But thank God I've learned that we as parents and anybody should listen. It's all about openness and listen. I wouldn't dare talk to my mom and say, look, I'm going clubbing. I like to go to clubbing, and I don't want my kids lying to me, telling me I'm going, you know, somewhere without me knowing. So things like this, I'm talking to every parent. I'm not a perfect parent. Yeah, my kids aren't perfect. I'm just advising. It's just an advice. You don't have to take it. Yeah. But I think we should be more open to our children. Good. It's very important. Very. Very important. God knows what I've been, you know, doing, and I still beat myself to it. But I then say it's a learning curve because I've learned a lot. You know, I kind of relate. Still, my parents will do the same thing. I'll say this on social media. When I first had him, and they were asking me, you know, when you go to the hospitals and they ask you, have you got that? Is there any diabetes in your family? Is there this? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Because they wouldn't tell you in Gambia if this what's the favorite. Yeah. Yeah. Very great point. The favorite. What favor? So I was like, every time they ask me, have you got this in your family? I'm like, I don't know. Come to think of it, this has happened to me. You know, and these things will bite us back because. Look, I don't know. For example, if I was to have one and pass it to my kids, you know, and they didn't have it in record, that can cause so many difficulties in life. But then the other thing is, you start doing these things with openness. Because as I said before, I've learned a lot from being in the diaspora. And then said, another thing I've learned is you try to be open to your kids and people and say, they know too much or you spoil them. Yeah. And this is what I don't understand. Honestly, I don't want to be long on the phone because I'm going to... No, we're enjoying what you're saying. It is why we're doing this. Because I'll be there. I'm just saying thank you so much, Fatimata and the girls. Thank you. Thanks to you.
Wait, Auntie, can I ask her a question?
Some of them I didn't know before.
Somebody wants to ask you a question. Can you hold?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, hold on. Somebody wants to ask you. Yeah, she wants to ask you a question. Agie, go ahead. Hold on, lady. I don't want to mention your name. Agie wants to ask you a question.
You don't have to answer it. It's a bit personal, but what was your son's dad's perspective on, like, you know, you bringing him up? Like, did he have like a part to play in it? Because I'm just interested to see like the dynamics between mothers and fathers in terms of, because for me personally, I feel like it all goes back to, you know, fathers being around, because in terms of raising a male child, it's a lot a mother can only do as much as they can to a certain degree when it comes to a male child. When it comes to a female child, it's a lot different. Do you get what I mean? Because a male child could get to a certain age where they feel too big for their boots because they're the man of the house, especially if a father is not present. So I'm really intrigued to know if like his father had like a part to play in it in terms of like how he you know, dealt with him and spoke with him, even with the other kids as well.
Yeah, now he's not with us, but before, when he was born, he was with us, but he was a bit stricter because he was brought up by his grandma. You can see everything is you know, and the impact it had on him, we both didn't like it. So it's what I've learned, that with my second child, you can tell that he's even more open, because he was coming and said to me, like when he came in here and he was to me, he was all on his phone smiling, and I said, who are you talking to? And he goes, my girlfriend. I said, oh, you have one? It's not something serious yet. I wouldn't dare tell that to my mom. Never in a million years. So, you see, I've learned from him, basically, like you said, Sugar said to the, basically, he was the guinea pig. And I would advise people that have their first child experience and their parents back home are strict or whatnot. Please try and be more open with your kids. That's my main issue right now. It's if you have a husband or a partner or a baby dad that's strict as well, it doesn't help.
It doesn't help, no.
So we wanted, because basically I thought I wanted him that good, perfect, and no one is perfect. No human being is perfect. So I was thinking, I'm a child who doesn't go out, who's with his books, who's going to be a doctor, and it doesn't work like that. Like one of you said, you have to make mistakes. Let them make mistakes. They have to, the human beings, and they'll come back and say, look, I've made a mistake. I don't want that again. I'm trying another route. I've made mistakes, even though I was being molded as the best child, but I've made a lot of mistakes along the line. And I don't, I've got a daughter, the only daughter I've got, and I've already started being open with her anyway, and she will take things that I'm like, oh God, I wouldn't dare say that, But I love it because she can come to me, talk to me anything, and people think she's spoiled. She's not. She just likes to tell me whatever happens. But most people think she's too spoiled. So just not take all your time.
Thank you so much. We really enjoy you.
Can I make a comment, Auntie? So
into a different dimension, and we have picked things up that are completely different from what we were discussing anyway. So that's really good. We'd like people to now.
Are you gonna invite any boys on like young boys?
This is what I was gonna say.
Okay, we just started this. This is the first time we've started this. This is not going to be the last time. With the lockdown, we want to do a lot.
He comes on that said all he's going to talk about is Mom's been strict. Mom that's all.
Yeah, we're gonna try and have some boys on, but you see, there's a difference. If I was to call boys to bring them on the panel, they'll be like, no, I haven't got time for that. They wouldn't come on board. But I'm sure if they watch this, we will have another panel, and then it will be boys.
He will, because he's got a book to talk about here. Like, one thing that along the way was when one time he said to me, and he was 15. And one of his friends was having a little party. So then goes to me, there's a party going on. And he said, are you going to go? He goes, I know you're going to say no. There's going to be boys smoking there. And I'm like, what have I done? He's already know that I was going to. And trust me, it's not nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I will pick up with you and see if we can have him on the next one. But I'm hoping that these beautiful ladies will come back. You see, that's why I love you. You call it Mayo Pakole. Yeah.
What comment did you read?
SHIT, sorry.
Oh God. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, guys, that was a good friend of mine that called, and I have something to add to that before baby Serrah. Boy, this is opening something today, and this happened to me, and then after I come to realize that I felt I was so protective over Jatou. I love her so much. It wasn't love. I hate in between us because that's what you will build between you and your child. Can you guys hear me? We just lost connection.
It's breaking up.
It's breaking.
Yeah.
I think we're back on. I think we're back on.
Are we back on?
Okay.
Can you guys hear now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you guys hear? How about those
Yeah.
that are watching? Can you guys still hear us? Are we still live? For those of you watching, can someone send me a comment that we're still live? Yes, I think we're good to go. Yeah. Yes, they can hear us. We're good to go. Yeah, what will happen at the end is you're building hate. Because I remember Jatou growing up saying to me, after everything, Agie knows, everybody knows how much I love Jatou. I spoiled her, I bought everything, I did everything. But there was a lot missing. And I remember her growing up saying to me, oh no, Chamsu and Venus are very spoiled. They are loved more than me. You see, this is it. It's because I only applied what I know to my child at that, thinking that, okay, this is the right thing to do. I would have listened. When she went, like, I remember when Jatou comes with something and she want to tell me, I'm like, no, I'm not listening. And then I started hating myself, getting angry that, she will call other people and tell them. She was very flexible to call my sister, Marikoka, to talk to her than even talk to me. I'm going to be truthful today. And nobody knew. We have this relationship, me and Jatou. We can be very good friends, but I built this anger and she built, I'm sure she did build some anger. She wouldn't tell me, but I know, I could see it at some point. And then she'll be very, it was very easy for her to talk to Janneh as well. So I was missing out. Then this was the point I started teaching myself this lesson that, look, you're losing your child to people that you trust the most. It is beautiful to lose them to, you lose your child to them, but at the same time, she's not going to be here another 19 years for me to catch up with the 19 years that I missed. So what do? Am I going to stay angry? Am I going to stay like strict and lose my child? No. So I started opening up. So I'm begging you parents, it's not too late. I did it. I don't think I'm doing 100%, but I'm getting there. I think it's different from before. I remember, let's talk about this video Jatou did, this music video. No, looking back today, no, honestly, you guys listen here. Looking back, nothing was wrong with the video. But because you see, I had, like, in me, I was like, hey, don't me fat mata koka mone kasi video. You see, I was thinking about people, what they were thinking about me and my child. I didn't even think about it. She was young. It was part of her upbringing. That's what kids do.
Yeah.
I was not thinking about that. Looking back today, I was like, why did I really stop that video? And trust me, that video came out less than 2 hours. I made sure that video was out of YouTube, Facebook, everywhere.
And the video, it was so good.
It was so cute as well.
Nice. Yeah.
It was good. And I want to take this opportunity to apologize to the artist. He was a good artist and he did a really good job. But at that time, I would not understand. I felt that that's my daughter. She's underage. She's not 17. She's only 16. You can't have her on a video without my consent. And yes, somebody asked about the father. For me, I had more pressure because I didn't even know about the video. It was Jatou's father who sent me the video and said, oh, so this is what you want your daughter to be like. Oh my God, that really got me. And I'm like,
no. I'm just going to ask her, what is she apologizing for? Are you apologizing for the fact that Jatou did the video but didn't feel comfortable enough to have told you about the video before she did the video? Because naturally, wouldn't that have been the thing?
Both. I'm apologizing. Like it could have been something different, Agie. We could have talked about it after she did the video. Damage is done. When I looked at the video, I still kept the video. Some time to time, I go back to the video, look at it, and I'm like, she looks beautiful in the video anyway, and she didn't do that other one. But I was like, no, you couldn't embarrass me like that. You see? So you see, it's now I'm learning, and I'm hoping that parents will learn, because I'm talking to youths here. Just imagine that is your daughter. That is your daughter sitting here telling you what they hate and what they like. So that's the idea of this conversation that we're having today. So, and I'm just hoping that people will take one or two things from it.
I think when she was talking about it, she was apologizing to the artist.
Not to me. You just want me to
just calling her apology right now. You want an apology? Even Auntie, can I just say, even that, for us being Gambians and to say my mum should apologize to me. Hey, what time?
I do apologize, Jatou, you know that. I say sometimes when you do something and I know I am wrong, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You never have it. But I don't think you.
Can I just make a couple points, please, before I forget? I have a fish.
Yeah, go on.
Right. I know it will, and it's great that it's probably going to go into a different panel and a different discussion, mainly with men and stuff. But I wanted to grab a point from that too, because what the lady said was really, really important. And the question that you brought was very important too. I feel like a lot of the responsibility is heavily on women. Yeah, because why you're the mother. And then in African cultures, Gambian cultures as well, you have this behavior, whether or not it's a baby that, okay, so you got two situations, right? If you are a single mother, you have that pressure of the other side of the child's family coming at you, right? And you're obviously alone. That's the obvious, yeah? Not to say that you're not feeling the same exact pressures whilst you're in a committed relationship or a marriage, yeah? A lot of the time when things go bad with a child, what do they say? It's the mum.
It's the mother,
when the conversations are going on, come and get your child. But if we're now winning awards or we're getting the degree and everything like that, you're now married. I feel like it's an equal responsibility that needs to take place. Now, if the father is completely out of the picture, then again, there's only so much we can do as women, you know, and I'd encourage women to not feel like, or to not give up in that act, because you are alone, you are doing it by yourself. So that's the likes of yourself, Auntie Ramata, as well. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you bringing up someone, you're not going to know all the right answers. You're not going to fully know how to raise a male child on your own, even though you wish to. So there's that side of things as well. I feel like, you know, that will open up a different discussion with a different panel with males as well, because I feel like it's a very, very massive part when it comes to male children, how that plays out. Then you've got the day and age that we're in right now, present, yeah? At the moment, it's very, very scary. Your child, you can allow your child to be a child, like, you know, it can only last for so long, but we need to remember now more than ever, as soon as your child hits puberty, that's it, yeah? That is it. You are exposed to the world. Even now, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, they've got what? TikTok, the iPad, the tablet, they're taking mummy's phone, they're this and that. It's not even CBBS no more. It's not even tweenies. It's not even Teletubbies. No, but honestly, it's not that anymore. This is not.
I totally agree, Sugar. I find myself watching Teletubbies more than my kids would. Jatou would even look at me if I.
Thank you.
They're like, Mommy, what is this? Mama, But
my point is, Auntie, then times have completely changed. We're in the world of living on the internet. Everything is exposed for anybody to see, you know? You don't have to now come and grab your child and sit down and watch with them a sex scene. They're probably watching it on their phone in the corner whilst you're thinking that they're doing something else. And not to say that that's bad parenting, it's just to show that we are exposed to a lot. So before they hit those problematic ages, which are the teen years, and get to those bigger stages, it is our job to reel it back in and make sure we are creating them safe and comfortable spaces. It is so, so, so important before they get to that stage. So there's that as well. And then there's the question of, okay, all right, some of us actually can't help it. It may be a little too late. What do we do now? What about if I want to act now? What about if my child is over the age of 21 or 18 where they can stand up and say, I'm leaving the house or I'm going and stuff? What do we, and that's a question to all of you ladies as well. What do you think we can actually say, or, how do we help those who feel like it's too late, even though it's not, and actually reel them back into a way? Because like Amie said as well, like a lot of the culture and the way that we've been brought up has been instilled into us. So we're just ignorant. We're unable to open our minds to a lot of things. How about those that are watching us right now and are saying, do you know what? I feel like I'm that person. How do I now start fresh with my child who feels as though they cannot talk to me any longer? How do we go about doing that sort of thing? Because I feel like that's also important too. We can say, yeah, do it. But how about if they're of age and, they're far gone and stuff, and you want to now, you're learning now, you're receiving this information now and you want to act on it?
Thank you. Anyway, ladies, we have gone past the time. So, we've been sitting here for 1.5 hours now, a little bit more than that. What we're gonna do, because we want these people watching us to miss us, so we're gonna have to come back, because we still haven't touched on, just maybe you mentioned something earlier, when our kids are ready to move out. We haven't talked about sex education. There's a lot that we need to talk about. So I'm gonna allow all of you, we're gonna do a round. Let's just tag at all, touch one little thing about what we talked about today, drugs. Maybe when we come back, we're not going to touch on drugs too much next time. So let's just have a closure of drugs. And then what advice you want to give parents and even friends and stuff like that. So let's just do a round of that, and we call it a night, so that we will rearrange ourselves for maybe next time. We don't know if it's going to be next week, next month, next year. But with the lockdown, I'm 100% sure we're going to come back sooner than people expect anyway.
We got all the time in the world. Nobody's going anywhere. Trust me.
Because Sugar, we even need to talk about the influence of music, because these kids, they look up to artists. Most of the things that artists are doing, they're doing it now, and artists are not even giving the right signal to these kids. Just like you said about the video, right? So now, Amie, we'll start with you. Yeah, your final.
Sure. The last thing that I would say is to parents out there that self-work is important, that we can tell you all of these things and try to share our experiences or the things that we know. But what I know or what I've seen is that peer pressure is not only within us as youth. I have seen our parents, their generation, deal with peer pressure. And so as much as we want to talk about the youth having peer pressure, we also need to talk about the other elephant in the room, which is our parents' generation that are dealing with peer pressure and now are putting their insecurities on us, right? So well, I think everyone, to be clear, yes, I think, but to be clear though, I think that everyone has insecurities. Yeah. And that again goes to the safe spaces, right? But what I think is that parents, if we have to be vulnerable and open up to you, you also have to, if you want to come to us to be open to talk to you, know that there's self-work that has to be done as well. If we work on ourselves, we need you to do the same. So you can't talk to us about all of these topics yet still are worried about what everyone else is doing or what everyone else is saying and want to apply it to my life, right? That's just not healthy. It's not, we don't have a necessarily healthy culture of how we deal with ourselves amongst our peers, our children, our aunts, our uncles, our parents. It's very much based in what is right by standards of culture. It's very much based in what people are going to say or what people are going to think. And that's just not a healthy way to live, in my opinion. It's just too much pressure on any person to have to buy certain things because other people do, have to live a certain way because people do, not allow your child to be themselves because other people will say X, Y, and Z. It's just not healthy. So that's what I would leave people with for whenever myself or the rest of the girls come to talk, or Auntie Fatimata, or anyone for that matter, to come with an open mind and an open heart, to be willing to receive the information and really check yourself to see, what do I need to work on so that I can then talk to or talk with my child. So with that being said, Mama, I love you. I thank you and Dad for being so open and kind to me. And I'm not talking about y'all.
That's my daughter-in-law, by the way. That's the wife of my son. You know what? He was here earlier on and he made a comment. I didn't even read the comment out, but still.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we have a caller on the line. We have our lady friend again on the line. Let's listen to her. She's part of the show now, whether she likes it or not.
There we go.
Hit it, lady. Hit it.
Don't bother who judges you or whatever.
Yes.
People judge you. But it doesn't. I'm learning. I'm more than 35 years older. Ask me what. Where you go? It's lockdown. 1.5 hours and then I'm not back into back tomorrow, not next week or next month.
Mm-hmm.
There's lockdown, there's nowhere to go or to do. So this is actually as well helping me with my mental health, because I'm sitting here doing nothing to do. So actually I've been watching you for the past hour and a half, which is really, I feel great.
Aww.
Honestly, I'm gonna be on social media.
Listen to those monkeys saying, "Ah."
I was just watching and read a story. I thought, okay, let me go and watch it. So I started watching it. I feel great. I'm like, okay, I think learned a lot within the 90 minutes, and I really appreciate it. I can't thank you enough. Because with this information, you don't get it in books.
Yeah, true.
You know, full experience. I haven't experienced it, so I wouldn't have known. And then when you ask other people, what they'll tell you isn't what you have to know. If you get me, because some people will tell you, okay, I can control my household, but I can control what's out there.
Yeah. True.
People will always tell you, and trust me, that person who's telling you
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, most of the time.
That's the peer pressure. That's the peer pressure that Amie was talking about within our community with the adults.
Yeah, because what do you think? But then they won't tell, they'll judge you straight away. Second, they'll call Fatu. You don't want me. Yeah, one more time. We'll call actually, Sugar explain. Rather than her giving you advice, helping you, that's what they judge you straight away.
True.
And then go a 15-year-old and 16-year-old will go put them in the club from 12. So how can control them?
Yeah. True.
We'll never help each other then. So I'd rather listen to this, learn something, go back to my kids and implement it on them and see how it goes. So it's both ways. I'm learning from them and they're learning from me as well.
Thank you.
I always say I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect parent and my kids aren't perfect. Because you have the perfect boy in the house and when they're out there, yeah. Well, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's lockdown. Yeah. Thank you so much. Janneh, contact na table contact na. Thank you. All right. So she's amazing. She's amazing. Okay, guys. Agie, your time it will help. What could you all of?
Hey, Auntie, I knew you was gonna do this. I'm gonna be settled no one day.
No, wait a second. Wait. This has to be done properly. I mean, you are. Tell me what you all.
Iko mo, ngane?
Acha, camera is on you.
What do you want me to say?
Taga tolsi olof. Mananga taga tolsi olof.
Okay. Thank you. Did it just? Let me put out this disclaimer. I can speak Wolof, but when I'm put on the spot, it's like everything is just gonna be like
exactly. Thank you.
And I'm not trying to make a fool of myself because this is recorded. So
I mean, you're smart,
but still, you're going to try.
I'm gonna love y'all and leave y'all. Yalla jama yaga.
Wow.
Yep, I'm jama dal. Deglu wante dafa ba. Yep, deglu wante. Wow.
Yes, exactly.
Why is it that Hallelujah to my person you want to wow?
Because it's a filler word. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a filler word.
Actually, never appears in English and then you talk about all of.
Okay, so yeah, just basically, I'm so happy we had this conversation because I think more so, if anything, is teaching parents from our point of view what it's like being a youth like these days and stuff like that, because it is, you know, we are within a very, very widespread of time when it comes to tradition, culture, social media, peer pressure, and everything that we're dealing with. So I just think it's definitely a thing where I would encourage any mothers, because I do feel like probably females probably use Facebook a lot more or whatnot, to encourage their husbands to tune in when we do have these little segments on news, especially if you are raising kids who are of age and going into their teenage years. And this is a part of it. And a part of it is not having that ignorance, feeling like that you know what you're doing and how you're doing it. You probably would do so, but it's definitely just a learning thing, like what that auntie said when she called in. It's just a matter of just learning and just hearing it from our point of view, because we as well, we are tired, okay? We need you to understand and feel us. But just to pick up on, just to finish off what from the uncle that message, I was going to say something before you actually said it was 10 years ago, only because if it was now and he recorded it to embarrass him, youths these days, they have no shame. So it could have been a thing. You definitely need to know your child to make that kind of move, because right now with TikTok, something like that could be funny. It could get him like backfire. Do you get what I mean? So it is like what the girl said, definitely a matter of knowing your child and understanding them, whether that is the right move to make, you know. But yeah, thank you so much, Mama Bear. We love you. And wow, legi dina Jekali sistema all of you. Jeff. Right now, if she's watching this. Well, hangalanda, duma buy me, you put my off, so my was all of it.
Okay.
Set. Okay.
Wow. Hey.
Jere Jeff, I'm to coca is alive defeat. Jere Jeff, thank you everybody. That's all.
Listen, before we even go any further, I have to read this from my friend. Actually, this guy is your uncle, Adam Janneh. Do you guys remember the guy that was stuck in the Tesco rooftop?
No,
That's him. That's Adam Janneh. He said, "Fatma Koka, let me do it the Gambian way, or do the Gambian thing. Why didn't you people teach your kids how to speak Wolof or Mandinka?" It is true. I think it's parents' responsibility. Yeah. I'm not showing off here. I'm not bragging. But my kids, they speak Wolof, like proper Wolof. All of them. Jatou samo gena bonle. But chamso nema dependa. Venus. Like all of them. Nema dependa. You know, it's up to you as a parent.
And they speak Swedish and English. Yeah, they're bilingual.
They speak Wolof, Swedish and English. When I came here, what I did was, of course, till now I cannot speak Swedish. Nesan. Kuy juli ñaanal ma nesan. Wow. But when I made it a point of duty. I was like, okay, I came with Jatou and I'm like to my ex-husband, I'm not gonna speak Swedish or whatever to Jatou. I'm gonna continue speaking English because she's from UK, and I'm gonna continue speaking Wolof to Jatou because I want her to keep that. So if Jatou goes to school, she's gonna learn how to speak Swedish, and you know how to speak Swedish. You can speak Swedish with Jatou, but from my end, I have to speak Wolof and English, and it worked for me. My kids, you take them anywhere, they will speak Wolof, and you'll be like, huh? Venus moy laka all of me. They, so Adam, diga linga wahta make no sense.
It's true. Auntie, do you know what? Yeah, do you know what really grinds my gear when you have like parents who actually go out of their way to speak English to their kids? Now, you know this whole bilingual thing. I know my Olaf is not great, but honestly, like what Amie said, when we're not put on the spot, we can do it. I've actually said I'm going to speak Olaf to my kids because I do want them to learn another language, and I'm secretly upset with my dad because apparently when I was younger I could speak Sarahule, and all my little sisters can speak Sarahule. They can speak French. It's very admirable. So I would definitely we're working on it. 100%. When we were at home, Ma if we reply back English, whatever it is, Ma would reply back in Olaf.
She still does it. Even still now,
she still does it.
Yeah. All right, baby Sillah, it's your turn now to give us your English whatever, and then your Olaf Kagato.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to close this segment. I'd just like to say, great discussion. We will definitely be back. I just feel like it's great that we're able to come on a platform as such and make these discussions happen and have an impact, because we have proof of it today from the call. So I just feel like, it's just a continuing learning curve. I know that us as youths are open. I think the cry is there for our parents and whatnot to be able to do. So I think as long as this is reciprocated and each parties are willing, Allah knows best, and Allah will make it happen, and we will be able to come to a mutual ground and be able to give and take from each other, really. And I'm really, really hopeful, because I feel like now more than ever, with people like Amie Dibba, who's online and sharing all these, doing what she does. People like Auntie Famata, like, you're not old, like, you're young, you're youthful, you're out there, you have a platform and you're talking about it. So I feel like as long as we have these things continuing on, then we're good.
We see you, girl.
She had to switch it there. As I was saying, like, it's just, it's just one of those things where we're going to have to give and take from each other so that we can learn. And I'm going to close off like Auntie does. Well, nunula, discussion be happen na. Mange wax jërëjëf to audience bi yëpp. Thank you for same time. Xam nga then touch the very important topic. So ngeen fanaan ak jaama. Dinañ ñëwaat beneen bés ñu touch fii ñu discuss. Loolu rek ak suma anti bu nice bi sa color like vanilla sa color like magnum Ajande Jatou seen color like caramel wow.
You win.
Someone was going to say that moment.
Oh, my cheeks are hurting.
Miss JJ, now it's your turn, JJ.
Guys, just to comment on what we've been talking about. It was nice to talk to people. I know that a lot of people my age, they don't feel comfortable to have these discussions with older people, and to the moms as well. The first child, I feel like the first child is you have to make all your mistakes with the first child, because you've never been a mom before, you've never been a dad, and I understand that it was probably harder because especially when you're doing it alone. So I don't think, sometimes we do like give you guys like a hard time, but it's not like we do sit down and think, okay, you know what, you have to understand. We do have empathy, we empathize. It's just that in the moment, like, things can just like go left or right, but we do understand, like, as the first child, there are certain mistakes you have to make with us in order for our siblings to not go through those type of things. And if that's what the result will be, then I feel like it's worth it. As the oldest, you're gonna want to do what's best for your siblings anyways. So Yeah, and yeah, the drugs and stuff. I hope that well, the people around me that if I see it, I will say it. Hopefully, we can talk more about it the next time we come on. I feel like it went quite fast. Yeah. So we can definitely talk about it more. And yeah, I think that's.
Where's
She's gonna come to the Olaf. Matsuma Domi, they dig Olaf. Why? Hang on. You know what? Yeah. Honestly, Jatou, I don't feel like saying this, but I have to say it and give him credit. Over the years, I have noticed that your dad is more even calmer than me.
Oh yeah.
He understands you more. If it's only for your dad, he's okay. He's like, hey, you're done a dramatic fan matter. What is the big deal? What is the big deal? She wants to be private. Leave her alone. I'm like, you're the man. You're supposed to support me. Tell her no, not to lock the door.
My dad as well, Auntie Marie, Agie, you know, the staple people, the other influences in my life as well. I do appreciate everything as well, even though I don't say it. Like, I feel like everyone can tell from this live, I'm talking this time, but then it takes quite some time before I open fully. So I just like to sit back, maybe the next time you see me on live is totally different, Jatou, but I like to warm up into situations. That's why I've been a little bit calm. But yeah.
You take that from me.
I feel like my mom and Agie are quite similar. They can go into a room today and boom, everybody knows them. Me, I like to really look around to warm into stuff. But yeah, I liked it bringing up my dad as well. Hopefully next time we could talk about fathers. Hopefully next time we could talk about fathers, because I feel like we kind of emphasized on the mother part aspect a lot. Maybe we can talk about the dad aspect, how my dad is a little bit less. I always say my mom and dad together is strict plus strict for me personally. My mom feels like my dad is calm. My dad feels like my mom is calm in certain situations. He's like, oh no, I would never let Jatou do that. And it's like, I'm just in the middle, like, you guys don't know, both of you are actually the same.
No, but when he talks to me, he's different. He's like, that's dramatic. He learned like that. Oh, so he's hassing you, but he's telling me that.
No, but the thing is, my dad doesn't hass me, but he knows that. No,
he doesn't hass you, but he has me.
But you know what? It's actually a compliment, because he knows if something's gonna get into my head, my mom has to tell me. So he will go through you, and he knows that when you're saying it, I'm gonna listen to it. I'm not gonna even talk back.
But anyway, what has it all of? I have a beef with your dad later. Hey, Bumaru slow. Adini pare le suma dom bi dafa dega olof. Bumaru slow.
Dede mun na la ko wala why it's just how wawa. But the mangi wa jërëjëf pour ñëpp ñu nekk di seetaan. Hopefully next time dinañ gën a waxtaan si yeneen topics yi. So bu leen fàtte dama dee dimbale ñu amul xaalis Gambia bu leen fàtte xaalis boo leen di def si lu amul njëriñ ngeen def ko si loolu, parce que dama dimbale ñu amul
néewi doole yi.
Waaw ñu amul lu bari. So suma yaay dafa def link bi, soo mënut a donate xaalis mun nga donate yére, mun nga donate dental care, sanitary products, lekkul xaalis rek. Wow, why dama dee check that out, the Spanish Coast organization.
Anyways, it was a great show, guys. All credit goes to you guys. I must say that I usually say that at the end of the show, but I would not take credit for this. I'm gonna give the credit to these kids, because when the drug thing came out, I remember. All right, I'm gonna say something. Tell me who it is. Babysitter, tell me who it is. Agie, tell me who. Someone left a message on my phone. Agie, you see about the drugs? Agie,
Agie.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Agie.
She was like, yeah, slow down, but I'm heart attack. You're young.
Yeah.
So she was really, really not pissed off, but she's like, Auntie, this is something that we need to talk about. You know, this is the no. She said, Auntie, you need to go out and talk about this, about the drugs and da da da. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go out there and talk about it. These drugs is gonna affect the youths more than it's gonna affect me. So we're gonna have a panel. And babysitter was like, she jumped for it. She's like, yeah, we have to do it. And guess what? Why the reason why I'm gonna call babysitter the boss of this? She handled it well. She controlled it well. The only time I was pissed off is like we had an argument over content and digital.
Oh I said digital. But yeah, we're over it.
I told you, I mean, I would never have a problem with that. But
do you know what I think it is? I think it's the English in me, you know, it's the petty stuff, you know. So I'll just put it as that.
Yeah. Yeah, so honestly, kudos to these young ladies, beautiful young ladies, as you can see. I'm sure there are a lot of young ladies sitting at home listening to this and moms listening to this today. These are not the only young, intelligent ladies around that we have. I'm sure yours is the same. So you see, as parents, I'm sure we have learned a lot today. I have learned a lot today. Let's try and open up with our kids. Of course, we're not going to give them that freedom, but we need to guide them, because if we don't, we're going to lose them. So now our next conversation will be centered around that. And again, we will talk about the lack of sex education in the Gambia, with not only at school, but with parents as well. You know, we have to break the ice. We have to break the cycle. They shouldn't be a taboo anymore. The taboo, I think, it's been gone a long time ago, since the days of my mom. But we just wanted to carry it over. And we cannot be here in the western side of the wall and say, all right, we'll bring in Gambia here. Different places, different culture, and different attitudes. So we have to learn to adapt to that. And in order to adapt to that too, we can sell our culture to the people here. But how can we do that if we're not teaching our kids the culture in a calmer way than putting pressure on them? It is definitely unfair. I'm not only talking to you as a mother, I'm talking to myself, because I do the same. So I'm here today, I'm moderating, but at the same time, I'm here to learn. I have learned a lot, and I'm going to take away with me a lot. Wow. Xam ngeen ne man moom wax rek lay def su ma waree wax ci olof moom lay leen kër gi toj. Dinaa ko wax yëpp ba mu jeex ma wàcce fi ba mu egg zéro. Ni xale yi ni ngeen naa gis ni ñoo ma mag. Fii man naa ci fi ñoom. Loolu maa ko wax.
Wait, Auntie, before you do it. Wait.
Yeah, and like I said,
I'm going to get something.
Yeah,
Is it an instrument?
opportunity as well to thank Agie's boutique. She's always on my YouTube, controlling the YouTube. She's a moderator on the YouTube channel. She's always, sharing, communicating with people there. Agie, thank you very much. I appreciate now what you do for me a lot. You can go to Agie's boutique, Agie's corner. She have her own YouTube channel. But still, we will put put your link there so that people will follow your link as well. Subscribe to Agie's corner, mine as well, Elitemedia. If you guys have your own YouTube, bring it here. And I want to thank my son Studio for allowing this beautiful young lady to be here as well. Right now, we want to talk. Si Peggy di karami di phone and di rayante.
Romancing.
I knew you grabbed an instrument. I knew it.
Well, Aja, close and show me. And Aja, Mama, close. Wow. Put it in. Fatuma na boga why? Elitemedia why? I tell him what?
Guys, hold on. I want to tell you the truth. I'm not related to this kid.
We are blood related. Don't let her fool you. Blood.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. It was a great show.
Thank you as well.
Bye-bye to everyone. And thanks for the comments, thanks for the likes, and for those that are on the Elitemedia platform, thanks for the stars. We really appreciate the stars. So bye-bye. Until next time.
Bye.
Shy Boy, Money, Shy Boy Production.
Oh, Sun shining, I'm warm. How you feeling? Well, I'm home. Couple thousands I just flown, got me feeling some type of way. Embracing this ground, my people, my town. Celebrating with this sound, we are feeling some type of way. I'm humbled that I come from a place like this. So let me show you around, sing it again. So humbled that I come from a place like this. Let me show you around. Smiling cold, smiling cold. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy. Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy.
You missing out if you ain't from here. And don't be quick to judge from all the things you hear. Plus from a distance the picture's never clear. People give back, we care. Got so little but we share. Can't compare, you dike jama burajir. Yene dika yage here. Foreigners in your near. Tourists yange jabante back and forth throughout the year. By near a peace of mind, sunny beaches. Love bird watching birds, we got different species. Rich in culture and the love leaves you speechless. Society groom, reality it teaches. We one like a puzzle putting together all the pieces.
I'm humbled that I come from a place like this. So let me show you around, sing it again. So humbled that I come from a place like this. Let me show you around. Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy. The Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy.
Digga na I different dikka. Funeka aglof ay feka. Fangay dem ñu ola leka. Hamuñ la sa ola ancho don punya sa def ko nyeta. Ain't no other place this brother here could live better. Even beggars got homes. Get na guess ku fanan better. Su sere be serious in winter you cool with just a sweater. Live in the Smiling Coast and never. To be honest, suma happiness like perta.
Sun shining, I'm warm. How you feeling? Well, I'm home. Couple thousands I just flown, got me feeling some type of way. Embracing this ground, my people, my town. Celebrating with this sound, we are feeling some type of way. I'm humbled that I come from a place like this. You should know. So let me show you around, sing it again. So humbled that I come from a place like this. Let me show you around. Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast, Smiling Coast. Yes, we're repping all day. There ain't no other place like the Smiling Coast, boy.